Welcome to the Explainer. So, let's jump straight into what is absolutely the ultimate competitive moat in business architecture today. Look around the agentic AI space right now. Literally, everyone is obsessing over tools, right? They're talking about the latest models, the newest wrappers, how fast they can deploy, but almost no one is talking about systems thinking. And honestly, that is a massive blind spot. So today, we are going to fix that. We are going to break down the true economics of agents and show exactly why we need to view business architecture through the lens of agentic economics.
Let's start with a crazy question. Why do 80% of AI agents save money for 3 months, only to turn right around and cost twice as much later? It's a shocking statistic, I know. Now, most execs adopt AI because, well, labor costs are high and efficiency targets are completely relentless. But here's the brutal truth. Automating with AI agents without applying systems thinking is quite literally like speeding up a car that has absolutely no steering wheel. You're going to go incredibly fast, right up until the exact second you crash.
Section 1. The Linear Automation Trap. To really understand this trap, we're going to look at a cautionary tale. Let's call this e-commerce company ShipFast. They process about 10,000 orders every single day. Their journey is basically a perfect map of this exact phenomenon. We'll track them from a massive initial victory in month 1, driven entirely by linear thinking, to a total system breakdown in month 3, and then finally the architectural fix in month 4 that pulled them back from the brink. Let's start with that initial big win.
Okay, month 1. ShipFast decides to automate their order entry with AI agents. And honestly, on the surface, the results were just staggering. They took their processing time from 16 minutes per order all the way down to just 4 minutes. They bumped accuracy from 80% to 99.9%. All of this netted a textbook $1.5 million a year in labor savings. I mean, if you're an executive looking at a linear cause and effect dashboard, you're popping champagne.
But let's fast forward just 8 weeks. By month 3, the system bit back. And oh man, it bit back hard. Total support costs didn't just wipe out that original 20% operational savings they had banked, they actually exploded by an additional 40%. So costs were down, and then suddenly they were massively up. What exactly went wrong here? Well, they optimized a single part, but they completely broke the whole system.
Section 2. The iceberg of systems thinking. To see exactly why optimizing one single part caused a total system collapse, we've got to look beneath the surface. If we step down through this iceberg model, at the very top, we have the event, right? An agent approved a wrong order. Simple enough, it happens. But look deeper at the pattern. Over the last month, they saw a 12% spike in product returns. Why? Because of the structure. There was absolutely zero feedback loop connecting a delivery failure back to the order agent that made the decision in the first place. And at the foundational root level, we find a super dangerous mental model. Leadership just assumed, hey, automation equals no humans needed. They chased raw efficiency without investing in human adaptability, and they built a deeply brittle structure because of it.
Section 3. The Reinforcing Failure Loop. You see, agentic systems live or die on feedback loops. When you strip out human adaptability and you don't replace it with systemic governance, things spiral out of control. Let's walk through this cascading loop step by step. So agents were incentivized to process orders fast. That leads to more auto-approved orders. But lacking strict governance, more bad address data enters the system. Naturally, bad data directly causes more delivery failures. Those delivery failures then trigger an absolute avalanche of customer support tickets. To handle that volume, the AI agents auto-create returns for the tickets, which multiplies the human workload on the back end, dumps even more bad data into the cycle, and boom, support costs absolutely explode. This right here is the classic systems trap. It's a vicious, self-reinforcing loop.
Section 4. High versus low leverage AI architecture.
Now, when execs are faced with this kind of catastrophic breakdown, their first instinct is almost always wrong. They try to fix the tool instead of the system. Basically, there are 2 ways to solve it. The low leverage approach, which, let's be real, is what most people do, is to just tweak the AI prompt or throw more agents at the problem. Best case, that saves you maybe 5%. It's a band-aid. True systems thinking requires high-leverage changes. It means actually changing the flow of information. It means building in adaptive feedback loops with continuous validation. And crucially, it means shifting the fundamental goal from just processing orders fast to delivering orders right, with under a 1% return rate.
Section 5. The Organizational Intelligence Loop.
This realization is exactly what brought ShipFast to month 4. Where they deployed the real antidote to linear thinking. They implemented what's known as the Organizational Intelligence Loop, or the OIL framework.
It's a socio-technical model, and it is a total game changer. It basically integrates 5 critical things into one unified loop. First, people validation, meaning a continuous human-in-the-loop where people actually validate outputs to refine the models. Second, strict governance boundaries. Third, workflow telemetry. Fourth, using an LLM as a judge to constantly evaluate agent decisions. And finally, adaptive agent memory. So when a delivery failure happens, that telemetry data feeds directly back into the original order agent's memory. That way, it literally never makes the exact same mistake twice.
And we aren't just talking in theory here. Research strongly backs this up. Implementing these kinds of agentic governance platforms delivers massive operational efficiency. If you look at similar architectures in IT ops and pipeline management, AI-based monitoring and governance drastically cuts manual interventions by up to 70%. It slashes mean time to resolution by 50% and drops pipeline recovery times by 45%. You're literally building resilience directly into the automation itself.
Section 6, the P&L knot. All right, let's get to the money slide, because you want to know how this actually hits the bottom line, right? The trade-off here is super fascinating. By adding systems thinking and that LLM as a judge, order processing time went from 4 minutes to 4.2 minutes. They literally added just 0.2 seconds for a validation check. Now, a linear thinker would call that a loss in efficiency, but look at the downstream effects. By adding that tiny bit of friction, the return rate plummeted from 8.5% down to 0.9%. Support tickets flipped from increasing by 32% to decreasing by 32%. And the most important metric, total monthly operational cost, was slashed from $42,000 down to just $18,000. Plus, capital expenditures dropped 64% over a 6-year lifetime. That, my friends, is the absolute power of high-leverage systems thinking.
Section 7, the STERC Action Plan. So how can you apply this to your own business and avoid that 80% failure trap? Well, you can steal this exact framework. We call it the STR Action Plan. S stands for stocks and flows. You've got to map out your entire order-to-cash process, where data pools and how it actually moves. T is for telemetry. Build a telemetry loop for continuous feedback between your agent's actions and real-world outcomes. E stands for experiment safely. Keep humans in the loop to validate things before you go full auto. And finally, R is reinforce the right loop. Make sure your metrics are reinforcing quality and correctness, not just accelerating bad data at lightning speed. I want to leave you with one final thought today. As you sit down to design your next agentic workflow, ask yourself, are you just optimizing a single part, or are you engineering the whole system? Because in the world of agentic economics, AI tools are quickly becoming a commodity. Systems thinking, truly understanding interconnected patterns, feedback loops, and unintended consequences, is the only real competitive mode. Thanks for joining me for this explainer, and get out there and start building those loops